the Middle-Aged Bodcast. Getting older, but having some laughs.
Welcome to the Middle-Aged Bodcast with me, Raging Rich.
And me, T.A. Shalano.
And T.A., joining us on the podcast is our final season 6 guest. She's an actress known for her role as Cindy Cunningham on Hollyoaks.
Yep, since leaving the show, she's become a certified life coach and written her debut book, Breaking the Script, giving an insight into her life, career, personal struggles and successes. It's a very warm welcome to Stephanie Waring.
Thank you so much for having me, boys.
Yeah, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, it's great to have you on here. I guess we probably need to kick off with a bit of Hollyoaks stuff.
Okay, do it. Let's go for it.
I know a lot of our listeners are going to be wanting to know a few little bits about it.
Okay.
We've been reading your book, Breaking the Script, quite recently, and there's a lot of stuff in there about the early days in Hollyoaks.
Yeah.
And it does mention that when you were 17, you quit your job in college to train as an actor. What was it that made you take that leap, and what would you say to someone who's facing that kind of decision now?
Well, in the book, obviously, and you've read it, boys. Thank you so much. I love that you've done your research. When I was younger, I was at Oldham Theatre Workshop, and from around the age 11 or 12, and it's something I'd always wanted to do. I'd always wanted to be an actress, and unfortunately, I had an eating disorder, anorexia, which took me to, well, it made me very, very unwell, and I couldn't continue with that. So I decided to put myself through business school, become, I don't know, whatever in the business world. I don't know what I wanted to be at that point. And at 17, there was just something inside of me that was giving me that pull to, can I actually do this? Can I be an actor? And picked up the Yellow Pages, saw an advert for the Actors Studio in Manchester, rang up, went to see a class, and that was me. It had me at hello. So I quit my college course, my job, and I just put everything into pursuing my dreams. And that was just one thing I'm always proud of myself for doing. No one helped me. I paid for it all myself. And what I'd say to anyone who wants, I don't know whether it's this career they want or, any career really, if it's something that you feel that you want to do, life's too short to just sit on a what if and a maybe. I think always take a gamble and try, because what's the worst that can happen? You fail, at least you've done it. I mean, it's not nice to go through life with regrets. So this is definitely not one of mine.
Your first TV role as well, I think, was playing Yorkshire Ripper survivor Tracy Brown. And that must have been a bit of a baptism of fire, as well as a kind of sort of first role. How was it portraying somebody who'd lived that kind of trauma compared to sort of being prepared to play fictional characters?
Well, gosh, we're going back to 1996. So this is a long time ago, 30 years. So to try and remember how it felt, I can't give you, exactly how I felt at that time. I just remember really excited to have just got a role, if I'm honest. I was just like, oh my God, I've gone for this audition and they booked me. So my first feeling was exhilaration of I've been chosen and, I'm going to get to do this. But then the reality hit was I knew all about the Yorkshire Ripper, Peter Sutcliffe. I knew the horrendous crimes he'd committed, but I didn't know that his youngest victim actually survived. And this documentary, ITV, were doing a reenactment of the Peter Sutcliffe murders and Tracy Brown, who survived. So I got to meet her and talk to her about the events that happened. And I think being 18 at the time, it was kind of really shocking to hear, from her point of view of everything that happened. I mean, you don't get to meet these people in real life and have those kind of conversations with them. But then being on a set is completely different to what you would see on TV. So being on a set, it is all made up, even though you're doing something that is documented as real life, it is, that we are actors playing the roles of Tracy Brown and, Peter Sutcliffe. So for me, it was just, I was learning about my first experience on a set, to be honest, which was a night shoot and filmed where it all the event actually happened to her, being covered in blood and wearing 60s clothes. It was thrilling. But yeah, I loved it, but obviously harrowing as well to, do something like that, reenact the murder, attempted murder.
Oh, I can imagine. And obviously following on from that, then getting your big break with playing Cindy in Hollyoaks. I have to confess something. because I realised something today that I could not believe I'd forgotten, that Cindy married Tony twice.
Yeah, she did. I think she married Dirk twice as well.
I have this thing in my head, and you're going to have to forgive me if I've got this wrong. There is, I'm pretty sure, the first time that Cindy and Tony get married, the wedding happens, and you walk away. It starts playing I Write Sins Not Tragedies by Panic at the Disco. And I only remember this because I like Panic at the Disco and I love that song.
Yeah.
And as it starts playing, you say something like, "It's all mine now," or something. And I'm going, I'm sure that's the thing.
Yeah, it was. That was Hollyoaks Later. So in Hollyoaks Later in 2009, they get married at a registry office. And then I remember this because I thought this was going to carry into a storyline, and I don't think it quite did, because the storyline was that Cindy was with Darren, and Darren and Cindy were plotting to get all Tony's money and sort of fleece him. But Cindy, and he didn't think that Cindy would go, ahead with the marriage, but she did. And I think Cindy then developed real feelings for Tony. But at the end of Hollyoaks Later, she's looking at the village and she's like, "It's all mine." So I thought that was then going to play into a storyline where he would find out, and it didn't. They stayed married, and they ended up being in a relationship and being in love, and then, split up eventually again. And then they got married again at the bus crash, when everyone died. The double wedding with Steve, Hay and Doug. So, yeah.
Because I remember that, and I was going, I'm trying to find it on YouTube. Am I going mad? Am I thinking this is like Max Sinclair's wedding? I'm going, I'm sure it's Cindy. I know it was Cindy. So I'm glad you clarified that. Thank you. I didn't realize I got married. I was watching it as well. This is the thing that's really annoying me. I was religiously watching Hollyoaks at that time, and I'm just going, I should remember that. Why do I not remember they got married twice?
It's okay. A lot happens in Hollyoaks. I mean, there's a lot of, regurgitated storylines as well, that we just basically just do them again, and someone else plays that that storyline. It's hard in soap to come up with new fresh ideas. You have to keep on peeling the onion, so to speak, with soap.
Oh, absolutely. There is one thing in your book as well that you do mention, that you had a dream to work on Coronation Street, and I know you did get to work on the street as well while you were on a break from Hollyoaks. If you hadn't have played Cindy in Hollyoaks, is there another character in any of the soaps that you would have loved to have played?
Not really. I don't really look at, I don't know, really look at other people's characters and go, "Oh, I want to play," I'm not a religious soap watcher. I did, before I got Hollyoaks, I was a massive EastEnders, Emmerdale, Coronation Street fan, Brookside. But then once you're in soaps, it's hard to keep up because it's 5 days a week and you're constantly working. So I kind of sort of fell out of watching them, if that makes sense. I do, however, I've always really liked Anna Pass's character, Sienna. I love the fact that she always got, and Mercedes, obviously, like, if I was looking at like Hollyoaks, they get delicious storylines that, I was always a bit like, "Oh, I'd love to do that." So
that'd be a good one. That'd be brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, I was saying, obviously, just before we started recording, that I was reading your book on the train and getting a few funny looks. But there was one train journey I was on with my wife down to London, actually. And I stopped mid-read to say, "Oh, you're going to love this," because my wife is a huge Kylie Minogue fan. And in the book, you talk about your sort of shared love for Kylie, shall we say. And then I was sort of explaining to my wife that you'd obviously met Kylie, and she's very jealous. This is just to annoy my wife now. How was it meeting Kylie?
Okay. Well, do you know what? It was the best moment, I think, of my life. And I met her in like 1998, 7 or 8, I think it was. I don't know the exact date. So it was a long time ago, and I'm yet to meet her again since. So she shouldn't need to be that jealous. And she will never remember who I am, because this was when I was I've just started in Hollyoaks. I think I've been there, about a year. Kylie's not going to sit and watch Hollyoaks at 6:30. She would have no clue. However, though, interesting story. So just to quickly digress, Paul Danan, who's sadly not with us, who played Sol?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
one year him and a few other Hollyoaks artists were going to the MTV Awards, and he saw George Michael, and George Michael went, "Soul! Oh my God!" And I was like, "Oh my God, George Michael watches Hollyoaks, because if he knows who he is, he's going to know who I am." So that was like, oh my God. I mean, I was a massive Wham fan, George Michael. So anyway, yes, I met Kylie in the Met Bar in London. And yeah, it was just the best night ever. So yeah, that's it really. There is a funny story in the book of what happened on that night, because I did nearly get fired from my job after that night. But that, that's a funny story that I do tell in the book.
Yeah, we weren't going to bring that bit up.
We won't
It's all
spoil
right.
the book.
It's one of the. I mean, if any of your listeners are going, "Oh, I need to read the book now to find out why she nearly got fired."
We'll be
Absolutely, yeah.
We'll be putting a link to the book in the show notes. Don't worry about that,
Oh, I
Steph.
love
There'll
that.
definitely
Thank
be a link in there for you.
It is a good read. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was also interested in the fact that actually your first concert seeing Kylie was obviously in our home city of Birmingham as well. I seem to remember reading.
Yeah, the
book.
NEC. Yeah, I went to that. Yeah, well, my first ever concert was one of Kylie's. So yeah.
I mean, moving on a bit more into the book. Obviously, you speak, very openly about some of the things that you've been through in your life. Sort of being treated for anorexia and bulimia. How do you think it would be going through those experiences today in a social media era compared with that time? I think I read one bit where you were going for treatment during filming at one point. And obviously it was in the time before perhaps the camera phones, things today. How do you think that experience would be today?
So back then in the 90s, no one knew what it was. Like none of my school friends, they would just see me waste away in front of their eyes. And it was very isolating and very lonely, because I didn't gain friends from losing weight. No one stuck around, because the kids are kids. And if they see someone who looks like, like skin and bones, someone who they used to know, kids don't know how to deal with that. With the bulimia, it's very much a secret disease. Like you can't. So with the social media thing, I don't think no one would know. So they're very two different diseases. With anorexia, it's very physical. You can see that. So I think that if I had anorexia today, it would be awfully painful, because you see it now on social media. I can see people just wasting away in front of me, and it's heartbreaking, because something mentally takes over in you. And I think that that's when it becomes a problem. It's not just about losing weight anymore. It becomes like this way of life and the way of thinking. And, I think that the sad thing is that we as humans don't trust our own bodies. And what I mean by that is that our bodies are very smart and they adapt to what we do, but our bodies are constantly trying to survive. So if you're, say, restricting food, your body has this really smart way of slowing everything down so it doesn't die, so it won't, keep losing fat off your body. It doesn't want to eat your organs for energy, It doesn't want to grow the downy hair on your body to keep you warm, because that's what it'll do. It kicks into survival mode. And that's what happens when you starve yourself, and everything just slows down. So when we do eat and we feed ourselves, it's like, oh, I have energy and I can use this bit of extra calories they've given me because I don't really need it. And, I need that for a bit more energy. And I think that's what a lot of us don't understand. We're trying to control something that our bodies know how to do. We are constantly putting the poison in or restriction, but our body just wants to survive and just be normal and at a baseline. And it's up to us to just let go a little bit. And I think that's the hardest lesson I've found, is to stop trying to control something that my body naturally wants. Your body don't want to be fat, basically, and you don't want to be too skinny. It just wants to be fit and healthy and strong. So, yeah. Anyway, sorry.
No.
Right.
It is a fascinating thing, the body, isn't it? And how it sort of adapts to things over time. And sort of the different things that we go through. It is a really fascinating thing. There's something actually in your book that I did find that I have gone through, which is adult acne, and you did mention using Roaccutane in there. and I actually used that as well.
Yeah.
And that certainly did help me a lot. I had, when I was at school, I had a lot of bullying, and also, like, as I was growing up, a lot of sort of I don't really know the term, but like being a little bit shy sometimes, and maybe not being as out of my shell as I could have been. And I did, reading that and seeing that you'd been through having the same treatment as that. How did you kind of find that as you were kind of, because you were working at the time on Hollyoaks? I mean, it's something, again, I don't think I'd have noticed at all on screen. But I know it had affected
No,
you
you
from
would have.
things in the book. And
You would have. Sorry to, yeah.
yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. It wasn't
Oh,
very
no.
noticeable. So this was in 2004. So
Okay.
my hair was part like this across my face. It was hiding my cheeks, and I wasn't lit, so they had me in shadow. So the light didn't catch the bumps, but I had lumps coming out of my face. So I would catch it sometimes, like I'd see it because I was looking for it. So I would see it. Just first of all, I just want to say sorry you went through that, because the thing is with some, when you said about being shy, it kind of took you, put you into a shell, you weren't confident. It's funny that, isn't it? Because it's anything physical with our bodies that makes us introverted. So whether we're overweight or, we've got a big nose or big, whatever it is that's physical. So the adult acne, for instance, something that people can see. Because I think that, say, like as children are say what you see people. So this is where it starts. If you're in the playground and, you're primary school, and then someone goes, oh, you've got spots all over your face, or you wear glasses and they call you the names that they call you, or you're a bit bigger than them and they call you fat. Kids say what they see. They don't know about feelings, or, it's that brutal because they don't understand the negative connotation that comes with it. So when we get told that as kids, we go, oh, that's not very nice. They were me and they said, I'm this. And then we lay down that track, and then that gets reinforced. We go, so mine was, you're fat. Oh, fat cow, you're fat. So therefore I am fat. But where I wasn't, I was just a little bit, I wasn't fat. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with the skin. So anything that you see, so you automatically go think, well, what will people think? I see people with acne all the time, but I don't think, oh my God, look at the state of their face. I just see the person behind the face.
100%.
So to get back to Hollyoaks and filming at that time, I didn't want to be there. Like, I'd left 4 years prior, having had really bad bulimia and had put in 3 stone in weight, and not being the Hollyoaks girl, so to speak. So when I'd left and gone on to do really well, and, I'd filmed in Australia, I'd done a BBC drama, and I was doing X, Y, Z, I wanted to come back to that set and be like, oh my God, like, look how gorgeous and slim I am. And, I've smashing my career. And I wanted, not in a braggy way, like I say in my book, but in that kind of validate me. I was such a people pleaser. I just wanted people to like me. I wanted to be one of them. I wanted to be seen like they were being seen. But I came back to the show with these mountains on my face and all down my neck that was red, raw pustules. It was horrendous. I didn't want to be there, but I had to fulfill my 12 episodes. So I did it and I left. And I didn't look back again after that. So, yeah. I got the Accutane, and that obviously helped the treatment shrinks your glands, and, really helped.
Yeah, it was a big help for me as well, and it was sort of what led to me sort of coming out of Michelle and meeting the gentleman to my left, my best friend and now podcast host. But yeah, it was something. I think you're right. When you're at school and the way kids are, it is something where you say that they've got no concept of feelings and how it's just, like you say, it's just that's in the head. I'm going to say it. There's no filter to anything.
I mean, I do think, having read your book and how honest you are on so many topics as well, how useful that would actually be. You're doing it as reflection, looking back at, someone, at the age sort of we're at now, but how useful that could be to, younger people and what they're experiencing today. So, obviously it's not a book that would have been aimed at me, but I really enjoyed reading it for the honesty and how, like Rich is associated with it, which again, He's probably, we'd not spoke about that, so I didn't know Rich was going to, raise that. But yeah, again, how people associate with something you've written. So I think it's brilliant that you've put something out like that probably is a help to people.
Yeah, 100%.
In that way.
Thank you.
I mean, moving on slightly then. So we talked earlier that when you were 17, you chose the change and stepping into acting, and then at 46, the change was kind of put upon you with Hollyoaks, sort of not bringing you sort of back following this sort of soft reboot, etc. How did the two moments compare in terms of choosing the change at 17 versus kind of having the change then forced upon you, I guess nearly 30 years later?
I was in a completely different part of my life back then. So I didn't have any responsibilities for a start. It was my decision to leave. I was at the beginning of my career, so it was my second job. I'd stayed 4 years. The money was great, don't get me wrong, but I pretty much spent all that anyway. Tax bills and all of that, you don't know back then about responsibility. And I just wanted to see what else was out there. I wanted to see what else I could do. I wanted to, see if I could, like try other characters on and, do so many different things. And it was a different industry back then. Like it was a smaller pond than it is now, so to speak. So having then been a jobbing actress for 8 years and then having the security of being at Hollyoaks for 16 years, the contracts just kept rolling and rolling and rolling. And Cindy became like the fabric of the show. And I just signed another contract. So for me, it was a case of, well, I do have another year, but I never ever felt like I was safe every year. I was always very grateful when my contracts came around and I was like, yeah, definitely I'll take it. But there was a part of me for a while that felt, do I want to be here forever? Do I want to be 50 and still trotting around in Cindy's heels, like around the village? There are other things I want to try, but I was very scared of choosing to leave with that security when I have a mortgage and I have 2 kids, I have responsibilities. And with the pond that it is out there now, how so big social media is, and now there's a lot of reality TV, there's not a lot of money in, film and theatre anymore. It's not like it was back then. So I knew that if I chose to leave, I'd be a very small fish in a very big pond. I'd basically be gambling and just maybe sitting for the phone to ring with my agent with an audition. So yeah, the security and safety of Hollyoaks was massively why I stayed. And to be doing what you love every single day, absolutely, so it was never really wanted to, until I got told that my services were no longer needed. And then I was just like, what am I going to do? Because I knew the things that I just said to you were going to happen. I knew the phone wasn't going to ring. I knew that I'm not going to just fall into another job straight away. Some people are lucky enough to do that, but I'm realistic, So it was scary. And it's why I did the Jay Shetty course, the life coaching course, because I thought, well, I need to do something while I'm waiting for, that I can do, that I'm, waiting for my next acting job, that I can work for myself. I'm not doing that anymore. It's not really me. It's not my passion, my purpose. So I've kind of just benched that slightly. But yeah, that's the difference between the two. I was 21 and had the world at my feet, and I did. I worked every year as an actress, but the money's not great when you're not doing, constant work. And now I think I've never been happier right now. So I don't know. Yeah, it balances out in the end.
That's fantastic. So you'd mentioned obviously doing the Jay Shetty program and putting that kind of on a pause now. But I did see recently that you've been announced to be, I believe it's a movie that's called The Rebooted, which has, there's some great actors in this, and me being a big superhero.
There is, yeah.
Gerard Christopher being in it, who was Superboy, and I used to watch that. There's also Andrew Lee Potts from Primeval. Is there anything you can tell us about that project at all? Or
it's a hard one to try and explain, if I'm honest. So I play Andrew Lee Potts' wife in it. So he's more sort of central to the story, and there's a few moving parts in it. So it's... I don't know how to really explain it. So it's kind of like a take on the comic book superhero world from an AI maybe perspective. I love the premise of it, and I love that Matthew Rooney, who's directing as well. Can't wait to work with him. This is breakout film. Yeah, I've got a few days on it, so I start shooting next month, and I'm just so excited to be getting back on set, to be honest, because this will be the first job that I've done since the last action was called for me, or last cut, so to speak, was on Hollyoaks. So, yeah, I'm really, really, really excited.
Well, I will definitely be going to see that. As we said, I'm a massive superhero fan, so that's definitely up my street. It'll be something I'll be going to watch, I'm sure. And best of luck with that.
Thank you.
You've described writing Breaking the Script as therapeutic, and that you've accepted sort of responsibility for your life and choices you've made. How important do you think that process is for anyone looking to move forward with their life?
I think writing the book kind of sort of gave me clarity of what happened to me, because I'd never been back before. Like, I've been to therapy and picked apart bits of my life and never really understood the connections of what it was, the underlying thing that was going on that was making me hang on to or put the coats on of mental health. They just have different clothing. So the anorexia moves to bulimia, and then the bulimia moves to control, and it kind of has these moving parts, anxiety, whatever it is. So I would say to anyone who, I think I think it was kind of facing it head on, and then being truthful with myself, not blaming other people and going, well, this happened and they did this or they did that. No, like, you make the agreements with yourself about how you feel and what's going on in your life. You choose, you have the choice to do and think certain things. So, for instance, I do believe that the anorexia happened for me because I was a bit chubbier and I just wanted to be thin, because I thought thin meant being accepted, being beautiful, because that's what it looked like on the outside. That meant love. Being small as possible meant love. Like, you just see, because you see it plastered everywhere. And to a young, tiny brain, you soak that in. So when you start losing weight, you'll do anything to keep that weight off. And then, you get scared to eat what you did before. So therefore, you keep on reinforcing it and reinforcing it. And then, unfortunately, that stuck around forever. I'm still trying to untangle it, And it's the same with anything that's happened to me. I have to kind of look at why I'm doing have certain behaviours and why I'm doing them. And I do feel like control is a lot of things. So I was always the fixer. So like, say in your family, if there's an argument going on in your family and you get that feeling of that unsettled feeling, you just want everything to calm down and, you'll do anything to fix it, keep the peace. So that's what I would do. It's just to keep the control. So if I say have an argument with my husband, I'll just, I don't know, I want to flee the scene almost, because I'm like, I feel that thing that just kind of makes me just want to control the situation. And, or like a schedule change or something that throws you, like, it's I don't know whether I'm answering this correctly. I might maybe going off on a tangent here, but I think it's looking at your own behaviours and where they come from. I think that's what I want to say. You can't put the responsibility on other people's shoulders for how you feel. Because if someone calls you something, it's up to you whether you believe it or not. Does that make sense?
I think that makes perfect sense. That's certainly, I've been very open about it on this podcast that I've suffered with my mental health quite recently and been attending Andy's Man Club regularly.
Oh, yeah.
And
I know about that.
It's true. Like, there's a lot of things that aren't in your control, and you kind of you'll kind of take it that it's your thing, and actually it's the things you can control that you need to think about, but not let it get to you too much. You've got to not put so much pressure on yourself. I think that's a big thing that we all seem to do.
I think what I found hard is from other people. I'm a natural people pleaser. I'd always want to be liked, so it was other people's opinions I'd take as truth. The ugly, especially, the stuff that wasn't nice. And I think that's really hard on social media, because anyone can come in and whip you. As I call it, the metaphorical whip. Someone you don't know comes along and goes, psh, they whip you, and you're like, ow, where did that come from? And then it hurts, it stings, and people just, I don't know, they see something, they want to say it, and I think then we carry it and we just keep layering it on after layer after layer after layer until we believe it, and then we don't feel good enough. I feel that that's really hard. I think a lot of people go through that. And it's about, it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. It's their opinion, whether it's right or wrong. Someone can tell you you're beautiful, you might not believe them. Someone can tell you you're ugly, and then you believe them. Like, it's, which one do you choose?
There was something I think I read it a couple of weeks ago, and it's where your brain remembers negative things more than it remembers the positive. So something that's positive that's happened to you, you might remember it for like an hour or so, and then it's sort of, that's it. All the negative that you've had, it just sits with you, and you're constantly remembering that. And I think that's the thing. We need to try and change that narrative.
I think it's because it flags up something like your body on high alert, and it feels like it needs to survive something. So you keep replaying that, and then it's trying to fight against it. It's trying to survive. It's like, what is this thing that's, and it's a weird thing, isn't it? The negative that comes in. I think when you learn the trauma early on and you believe it, it's just flaring that up. It's like it's lighting a match almost, and then we set it on fire with just keep remembering it. So the positive does feel really nice. That's why people say positive affirmations really work. That you constantly do it. Your brain then lays down new neural pathways with the positive stuff. But it's really easy to light a match with the negative and let it just burn your house down, so to speak.
Yeah. Thank you. I think we are coming towards the end of our sort of time today. So obviously, thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome.
We do always have a sort of a bit of a thing where we kind of, it's become a tradition, but we ask guests to basically reflect on the conversation, their episode, or just give listeners a sort of final thought from them. So we go over to you to close out today's episode.
I think what I didn't expect from this episode was to really tap into the mental health aspect of our lives, and I really enjoyed that. I think it's really important to have a conversation, and I think it's just cleared my cobwebs a little bit. It's like, because you have so much mental clutter. So you boys, brilliant. Like, I think just keep doing what you're doing. I really enjoyed the conversation. I think to go through mental health the way that you have done, and I think it, like I said, it wears many coats. Mental health isn't just one thing. We don't just suffer from depression. It wears many disguises. So we've just got to look out for them and try and keep reinforcing the positive things about life, because it's short. Like, life's so short. So we're just going to enjoy our day today. We've only got today, haven't we? We don't know if we've got tomorrow. So, and that's what I'll take from it.
Thank you very much, Steph. Really enjoyed chatting with you. Best of luck with the Rebooted, and also obviously continued success with the book. Cannot say enough good things about it, and we will be recommending it to all of our listeners and to our friends and family as well.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me. Bye, boys.
Want more middle-aged podcast in your life? Of course you do. Follow us on social media for behind-the-scenes stuff, extra larks, and all our latest updates. We're on Instagram and Threads at Midaged Bodcast. Facebook's easier. Just head to facebook.com/middleaged podcast. If you're still hanging on to Twitter or X or whatever it's called now, we're at Midaged Podcast. And if you're on Blue Sky, it's at middleagedpodcast.bsky.social. Or you can swing by our website, middleagedpodcast.co.uk. Give us a follow and stay in the loop. Cheers for listening.